Well, slurp-de-derp, my G's. Back again, and I apologise for uploading a video so close to the most recent upload. But I wanted to record this video before I forgot my main talking point, because I had a separate discussion I wanted to have with you guys, which was partly inspired by my student Malcolm on a conversation we had recently, and also partly inspired by Blips, who just commented on the last video. So thank you, sir. I love reading from your comments always. And Blips mentioned he also uses a FIO headphone amp. And this video, I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about your listening setup and how things translate to other systems. And I also want to talk about the benefits of why I like to use open back headphones versus closed back headphones, and why I like to use these ones in particular for getting the highest sounding quality mix and master that I possibly can. That's the main goal, really, you know. I always strive for the highest sound quality that I can achieve. So yeah, let's talk about the first part of the video about the open back headphones. So when you're producing music, obviously you have a choice about what your listening setup's going to be, whether it's going to be your speakers, what type of headphones you're going to use. And there's no right or wrong. Like, you can really do whatever you like, and as long as you can get what you're producing to sound good, you know, to other people, you know, that's great. Doesn't really matter how you do it, as long as you get there. So, you know, I know really, really talented producers who use like closed back headphones and get a great result with them. But yeah, I love to use open back headphones, which are ones where basically, you know, a large surface area on the outside and the sound actually comes out. And the reason why it's designed like that is to give you a larger stereo field that you can kind of hear, right? And the reason why I prefer to have that, like a bigger stereo field that I'm listening to, is so it's easier to create separation between elements. So because you have a sort of larger space that you can you know hear, you can more easily detect where sounds are sitting, like in the stereo field, and so it's easier to you have like a greater sense of detail and depth when it comes to like placing sounds around. And so, like, for me, having a really great mix down and a great sound, a great quality sound, a large part of that comes down to having a great separation between your sounds. And so with a larger stereo field that you can sort of listen to, you can get more in depth with more precisely separating sounds. So that's not always to be, you know, left or right. That can be in terms of a sound's depth, in terms of its volume as well. But having a larger like sound stage to listen on can help you to achieve that separation to a more precise degree. So that's the number one reason why I prefer like open back headphones. And yeah, the bass won't sound as perhaps powerful or, you know, crazy like fun in the low end sometimes, because on closed back headphones you have, you know, the sound will bounce off the back of the headphones and come back in, so you'll have like the impression of more bass usually, whereas in these ones, for example, the bass will like leak outwards, so you won't hear the bass as well. But yeah, that kind of this brings on to the second point of the video, commenting on what Blips said about in his comment he mentioned that he has a particular setup where he's got his headphone amp and he's got some sort of settings where it's not flat, basically. He's got like a little boost on his EQ in the low end and the high end, for example, and he's got the bass boost turned on perhaps as well. On this amp you've got like a bass boost, and I always have that off. I try to leave all of those, like, basically, this is going to sound really boring, but I try to get the flattest, most boring sound that I can, because Blips asked about this. He said, you know, he's heard that it's good to have like a flat sound, but his setup is like with bass boost, with high end boost, and then with like an EQ bass boost as well. So obviously the whole goal, right, is that you get what you're listening to sound great for everyone else. That's the whole concept, you know? And so because of that, I prefer that my listening setup is really boring. Yeah? So that's why I like the flattest kind of the flattest sound that I can have for my setup, because it means, you know, if I can get things to sound really good and interesting on like a flat, you know, no extra juice out, no extra bass boost, nothing fancy added in, just like high quality, but like kind of like level and flat listening setup. If I can get things to sound great on that, then it's going to sound, then hopefully, more often than not, it's going to sound even greater on everything else. So that's why I always train myself to produce in with the sort of flattest, listening equipment that I can get. So I don't like do bass boosts and stuff. I don't put anything in my channels like, you know, on the master, like these kind of plugins that change settings around. You know, I keep everything like directly from the door, stock channel EQ, you know, that kind of vibe. So nothing going on. This amp just powers the headphones more, so it makes them a bit louder, so I can detect what's going on in the soundstage a bit easier because the volume is higher. So it's still like pretty flat. And the cable I looked at getting, like the cryo copper cable, it sort of opens the headphones up a bit to their potential, like a little bit better. It doesn't, I wouldn't say it really changes the sound in terms of like boosting the highs or the lows. Like it's still relatively flat. It just kind of has a better signal flow, so the sound quality, like the sound coming through, seems to be like a little louder and a bit more high quality. But everything is still really like flat, to be fair. So yeah, when it comes to doing these kind of, you know, having your listening setup be a specific way, the thing to really understand is if you're doing it to make it sound good to you, then when you're producing, things will like naturally sound better like for you, but that won't be the same then for everyone else perhaps. So I always produce like flat without like trying to add extra bass or without anything. I try to produce in a high detail environment but quite a boring environment, and then try to make everything sound good like that, because it's good. Then for me it's got a higher chance of translating well to everyone else. So the whole goal is, at the end of the day, like regardless of if you choose to have your listening setup be like different or like special or like flat, the whole goal is, can you know that what you're doing is going to sound good for everyone else on everyone else's system, you know, in a balanced way? You know, obviously it's not going to be perfect for everyone, but can you like, is what you're doing generally going to translate well to everyone else? That's the key thing that you want to figure out. And as long as you're able to do that, you know, that's what, you know, some people do that with closed back headphones or with their monitors, whatever they use. Like, it doesn't really matter what you use. And you know, the goal is like, is what you're doing and how you know your system is working, is that translating well for everyone else? That's the whole goal, really. And so it's up to you how you want to do that, but I found it more practical and easy to do that in a way where I'm producing like on a flattest kind of sound stage as possible, without too much, you know, it's not necessarily super fun for me to have like less bass, but I don't need to like slam my ears full of bass to like hear that the bass will then work well on a sound system, you know? Like, I don't need to like have loads of bass while I'm producing so that I know it translates well. Like, I can kind of tell, like on my headphones, when there's like not so much bass, I can like tell that it's going to have more when it goes onto like a subsystem, and it's going to sound good. But I can really get really detailed with like the soundstage in like a more boring listening environment, you know. And then if I can make that sound really good, then I know it's going to like translate even better to like other people. So yeah, I try to keep things flat, to be honest. But yeah, that was just a little part 2 kind of video, talking again a little bit about gear and mixing and mastering. But yeah, also how the whole goal really is, you know, how is what you're doing going to translate for everyone else? So you've got to figure that out. and then yeah, adjust your listening setup from there if you have to. All right, and yeah, open back headphones I still think are the best personally, because I think having a bigger soundstage, being able to pick out the little spots where you've got space in your stereo field and fill them or change things around with a higher like audio detail to know where things are. I think that's one of the most important things for me when it comes to mixing and mastering. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful for someone. And yeah, if you're new here, welcome to the Crazy Train. Like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. I'll happily make some more videos off the back of your questions and comments. Thank you very much, my Gs. More from me very soon. Peace out, much love.